wow for the day, and you're just like, yeah, great, Rich.
Nah, it's always glad to hear from Rich, and I'm can't wait for him to come back. You know, in Ukraine, it's always something else. You know, he always has stories to tell.
I hope not this time, because he's supposed to stay inside.
Stay
his
inside,
apartment
yeah, Lacoste.
the entire month.
Don't encourage him.
I don't know if you realize who you're dealing with.
I do. We're kidding. If necessary, we will get a tracking anklet for him.
Kyle's going to get one of the WePlay security here that just as we come in, just have it stood outside of Rich's door. You're only allowed to leave between these times.
Yeah, can
Yeah. Well, no, but he... Uh-oh.
What?
Just ignore that. We'll just keep looking at the draft. Come on.
We're back.
We're getting Mars in. That might be the first Mars we've seen throughout the close qualifier, I think.
It is.
It's a
we
strong
got one behind
combo.
you. Us. But that's the thing. You got to always... this is just good for negotiating.
Watch your back.
Those at home. You just sell stuff as a benefit, even if it's potentially a downside. So you say to Rich, you know, hey, we've got private security to keep you safe the entire event. What he doesn't know... Or, sorry, bodyguard.
Yep.
But really, it's our bodyguard. Anyway,
He's protected at all times. I love it.
Mars
So,
is
can
pretty
you
solid.
please
against Gyro.
repeat what you said after I said that they're going to go with Gyro IO once again?
I didn't think they were going to do that.
Okay. No, I just wanted to hear it, you know, see.
Did you win something? Is there some sort of a...
No, I already won in rock, paper, scissors. I've had enough of wins today.
The Grimstroke slaughter makes a lot of sense. You typically see Grimstroke with heroes like Beastmaster just because you've got an ability to double up on a BKB piercing disable. Slaughter ulti sort of functions the same way, and it's quite nice against these really squishy backliners. But what I like to see is that they have some real damage amplification. That was what was missing from that previous game, where yes, you've got Avenge and a Wisp, but there's just nothing that's really helping this Gyro. There's nobody that can get out. If there's an Underlord in this game, and Slaughter pops on him, amps, the Gyro is a threat. Without that assistance, you're just tickling. The Troll, another hero, much like the Void, that matches up pretty well against the Gyrocopter. You can just get on top of him, pop ulti, try and eat him for lunch. Slardar also suffers a bit because you're not able to land the bash procs, or rather your auto attacks miss, which means you're not getting a bash proc. Thus, Troll hits you and stuff. What were you saying, Lucas?
I was saying that the Viking needs a hero that is very mobile. They have no like guaranteed stuns. It's very hard to, you know, land a stun on something like a Puck, Queen of Pain, also the one that comes to my mind. What else is there? Like Storm Spirit's banned out. That's a pretty good ban from Team Empire because it's very, very good against their lineup. What could they combine with Grimstroke? Like you have a rocket, you have
Gundam.
What?
Nothing. Sorry, I thought we were going somewhere else with that.
Oh, Pagna, that's a good ban. Like against the Troll, you have the Cripify. All these spells are pretty costly, especially from Lina. So it could work very well just, you know, having that Nether Ward.
It's a way of keeping the Gyro or the Wisp alive. Whenever you have a Wisp, it's really helpful to have that secondary save. Just because if you buy a little bit of time for whoever's getting bursted, you'll have a reload coming through, a tether into mech, something to help out your ally. So I think typically, like I know Liquid as an example, love running Oracle plus Wisp as a combination because you just keep each other alive, which means you have to target the cores, and then they're just free to do stuff because the supports will keep them alive, yada, yada, yada. But right now, I'm a little fearful for Viking just because Empire's team fight is so powerful. You get the Phoenix Mars ults down, what does this draft do? Like, these supports just feed. You need BKBs on both cores.
Yeah, you definitely do, but they have no saving ability. Like,
True.
they don't have the best egg protector. Like Mars. Mars.
Gotta get the chicken.
Gotta get the chicken? Okay.
What came first, by the way?
No, don't.
Chicken or the egg?
Don't go there. I think we had this discussion like 17 times somehow on Dota panel. Yeah, maybe not
He
you
probably
and me.
brought it
but,
up.
I've never heard it. I've never had that discussion. Please.
I'm not having it again. And Banks is also saying, no, not this time. I also heard from production, they say like, no, please don't talk about it. So
They doesn't say that. I would have heard them.
they don't talk to you.
I heard it.
Really?
Yeah. See?
Oh my god. They're keeping me in the dark.
You can be left out of some conversations. You do realize
That's
that.
really unfair.
No. I have a personal one every now and again. Lacoste has one as well. You don't get any kind
I
of
love our production guy.
production guy. He basically may as well be here. Like, Twitch chat, you not getting to hear our production guy is actually, like, You're unlucky.
Yeah.
You need him.
It's a lot like team comms. Like, I wish we could watch games with team comms. Similar, I think you'd better understand what's happening in our heads if we could hear inside.
With the team comms, though, right? Do the players agree outside of like really big events like for TI?
Oh, no, they hate it. No, this is the
okay.
thing. You got to keep in mind that Dota 2 is incentivized completely differently to every other esport, where in like League of Legends and Counter-Strike and Valorant, whatever, a lot of the gameplay, it's focused on building a fan base and like a sustainable ecosystem. In Dota, it's just win. You don't need fans. You don't need to do interviews. Just win. Win a TI, you're set for life. So why would they want to share the inner workings of their strategies when the entire goal is to win and beat everybody all the time?
So we had a thing in CS where no one was happy for the team comms to be recorded or used, and now recently we've been starting to get it where we can listen to it the whole time during the game, and only like we just can't play it back or anything. But it gives us extra insight. I think that's helpful for doing stuff on panel. Would that not be good for you guys?
It would. Like someone saying, yeah, we need to like smoke gank right now.
We just signed agreements with the team to say we won't like tell their tactics, stuff like that. You know, like, won't provide everything else. But getting that insight, we can see like, well, this player was real tilted at this point.
You gotta also keep in mind, like most of our top teams are owned by the players, whereas in Counter-Strike it's a different kind of situation.
Well, before I just get the information, because I do like this conversation, we got
the
the EGB odds. It is still favouring Viking, but it swung a bit more to Empire. They did win the last game. They've got 100% leaner in there. Kyle, which way are we going? Which one is taking the win? Who is being eliminated?
I think Empire's draft is better. I think it's definitely more of an advanced level draft where it doesn't really have any big weaknesses. Your tower push may be a little limited, but your team fight's great. You got catch, you got strong lanes. If you're going to win this game as Viking, you kind of need every one of your cores to have a solid game. Gyro's got to go off. And my concern is just they don't have the team fight. If you beat in the river, all 5 heroes cast all their spells, like Empire's going to just crush them. You need an insane BKB timing for your bad Gyro and Slardar. It's a really tough one for Viking. I don't know if I believe in this Wisp Gyro.
So you're going with?
I'll go with Empire.
Woo! Empire, first time coming out of Kyle's mouth.
Sadly, I have to agree with Kyle here. Like Team Empire, they have much better draft, I would say. You know, you said it well, the easiest way. Like if they click the buttons in the river, it just feels like Team Empire is much stronger. And like with the Rum buff on top of Troll ulti, these are going to be like prolonged team fights with the Sunray healing them up. I just don't see them bursting neither Troll nor the Skunka before the fight starts, and that's going to be a huge problem.
I'm shocked. Empire didn't come in as the favourites at all. Many people expect them to be 2-0. They've come here, they fought hard, and they seem to be drafting better. What is this with Viking? I don't expect this from them.
I think this 10th pick is not utilized correctly. In the previous game, we had Venge. Now it's a Batrider once again, and it is a single core. You have Gyrocopter, who you're relying that is going to deal the most damage. And once again, if the game drags post 40-minute mark, he's going to have issues.
Well, let's see if he does have issues. Kyle, Lacoste, thank you very much. KP and Pycat are ready to deliver this. KP, you got your third game. You got what you wanted, but which way are you two going? And look, the final form of Pycat has finally showed himself.
Ooh, whoa. What? Your hair's changing now. You know? Damn, it's getting stronger and stronger, all right? You know who's getting stronger and stronger as well, Pycat?
That's the highest level.
To the point that the panel has completely backpedaled from the beginning of this series, remember? Where they're like, yeah, I think Viking got this. By game 1 being done, they're like, 2-0, easy. And now they are Team Empire fanboys.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it to some extent. I also kind of think that, I mean, like, from what I've seen so far, this Batrider has never impressed me in recent times. It's always this Batrider. He does okay-ish in his lane, and then he gets some boots of travel and runs around and doesn't do much. I do like the Slardar, though. I think it fits them like much better. It allows them to go and take Roche. It allows them to fight easier. I think it fits Toby better. And they don't have Avenge anymore, so I'm kind of happy about that. At the same time, I can definitely see, like, there's this Lina against this Wisp Gyro lane once again. I think there's the Mars too, and it's not weak by any means. He's not an Underlord, that's for sure, but he's still kind of strong. I think if the Batrider kind of does better than just okay-ish in the mid lane, I think Viking have a really good chance, because it's a very good Batrider game. It's just like, there's no bad counter whatsoever in this game. And so if he does well in his lane, I will say Viking will win this. And otherwise, I'm going with Empire.
Okay, but yeah, you did like highlight your concern. You felt like you don't really see this hero win at the moment. Does it feel like Batrider? He does feel like that cookie cutter pick these days, right? Like, there's not necessarily like a downside of the hero. Obviously, there are like some decent counters, such as things like Lifestealer, Slark. But overall, as a hero, usually you expect to have some sort of like relevance or position in your plan in the game. Kind of fills holes in lineup, right? Like it used to be, you go back like a year or two, it was Mirana was that kind of cookie cutter. And then Kunkka, it still is considered one of those kind of fills all the gaps in your lineup type hero.
Yeah, like, you want this Batrider to kind of, you want him to do well in the lane, and you want him to be able to play in this game where there are not a lot of bad counters. And then, yeah, he can definitely be, a very useful hero. But most of the time, we just see this Batrider do, okay-ish in the lane. Then he gets these late boots of travels, and then he just gets some BKB around this 20-minute mark, and he's just not that useful. So
yeah, I felt like that was our we both kind of like had that concern. You were very kind of vocal in it. The boost travel last game didn't feel like it was doing anything. It's almost like a key point where you maybe want the Batrider to bring a bit more to the fight. Some like drums might go a lot further, or maybe possibly like a blink, like these type of items compared to the boost of travel, which feels like you're just trying to look for an excuse to maybe pull attention across map and farm. Speaking of pulling attention, our attention is taken top where Turby. I don't feel like this was too unexpected, considering like you can already tell Slardar is not comfortable in lane when he has to go for Slippery and Crush level 1. And it's not surprising he's had to do that, considering he's against both attack slows and miss chance on this lane.
yeah, Slardar should not be super happy up here, Troll being one of the stronger laners out there. And also Phoenix now Ignart going this. I like the fact that he's just going for like a lot of regen on this Phoenix. Sometimes people buy boots. That might be more so on the 4 Phoenix, but still. He's getting some regen, and they should be able to fight this. I think the Grimstroke Slardar lane is not particularly strong, especially going up against a hero like Troll.
No, you got to imagine what's the combo for them here. You're like, oh, well, I can already see it coming. Inkswell, Guardian Sprint, and then run away from Troll.
Hopefully not the case. And hopefully not the case for their sake.
Would you really want to run towards this Troll? Maybe if you bring like an extra hero. I feel like in a 2-on-2 vacuum, if you're not killing Phoenix, you're not killing anyone in this lane, right? Like Empire-wise, Smiling Knight should not die.
Yeah, but to mention something, I mean, you were talking about like the boots of travel on the last game, and I'm assuming this is kind of the go-to build right now on Batrider. It's like people want to do people like to do the conventional things, because you don't want to, you don't want to do too unconventional things and feel like you're being stupid or whatever. But I don't know. To me, at least it seems though as if like this boots of travel build, it really works when you're having kind of a good game, and you can kind of utilize these boots of travels, and you can keep fighting with them. Like going in and out of fights. But I feel like what's happening in a lot of these games where I've seen it is that the Batrider is just not strong enough to fight, and that's why I feel like you could invest this gold into something else that actually lets you fight. And then after this, you can get boots of travel if you want to, but kind of secure the game first before you go for greed.
That's a fair way of looking at it, right? Like, it feels as if it's the fragility factor. I think in more recent patches, Brewmaster's had a similar issue, right? Where like, it's not these boom boost travel, but in terms of like the way the hero functions, you do a split, you feel like you're very strong, but if like the enemy team is even or ahead of you, they're not considering you a threat. They'll literally just kill all the brew pieces, bring you down, and remove you from the fight. Batrider is similar in that what feels like a hero that should be able to frontline to an extent can very easily just fall to pieces, just like this top lane, which is
and once again, like I'm kind of curious. Like Aramis is just holding his Inkswell here. He could have just easily just Inkswelled himself and just ran into the enemy heroes, but he kind of just sells his Slardar. So
this is problematic. I don't really like when you think of heroes that are picked to kind of win the lane and propel from there. Slardar is one of those, right? Like it's not that you won't be able to do anything later, but when you talk about these two lineups, I feel like we're putting a lot of emphasis on the presence Toby has to have in that mid game.
I don't necessarily know if Slardar has to have a super good game in this. Like Slardar is he's not the best laner, right? Like he's an okay-ish laner against certain melee heroes, but you just get the amplification for later on, for killing Roche or for killing certain heroes later on in the game. But I think the person that needs to have a good game here is Boom. And yeah, so far I'm not really impressed by his laning. Kunkka is quite a bit ahead, 600-700 gold almost. He's up on levels, and once again we're seeing these boots of travel queued up. And yeah, so far I'm not really a believer.
I mean, maybe his thought process is I can out-rotate compared to like last game where like your opponent has a lot of mobility. Kunkka is much slower for heroes. So maybe he could pivot into that. It's just like, where are you rotating? Like, where do you feel strong? Because my concern is the Empire, if you rotate towards their towers and they TP in, they've got things like the Kunkka boat. They've got the Mars arena. They do have ways of countering your plays pretty strongly.
Yeah, you need to kind of get some messy fights where the Bat Rider, where he can just, you know, like use sticky a lot to sort of make everyone's turn rate really bad, and then kind of just play around with the mobility of the Wisp Gyro, the Slardar, you know, the potential Inkswell, etc. Something along those lines.
But it's definitely a given that, as you said, like the critical point is Boom has to have a good start to this game, because if Slardar's already kind of a little bit down on his luck, having a bad time with it, there does quickly become a concern of who's going to be able to frontline alongside Shad, right? Is this Gyrocopter going to have to just stand his ground in that mid game as a frontliner? And if that's the case, you don't really like Vikings odds, right? When you look at the heroes the Empire have, they'll rip you to pieces.
Yeah, and Slardar's queuing up a Midas, and I'm really not enjoying this. Like seeing this, I think this is it's a very awkward choice from Slardar.
I mean, I get you feeling a little bit of a need for recovery, but I know we had our not doubts, but we were like, maybe there's different options last time we saw his Slardar where he went to the drums first. But that's an item that's going to have you active, and sure, you might, you know, throw out a few more clicks for Midas, but it doesn't really set a pace for who's going to be the pacemaker. It just puts even more pressure on Boom to perform, and he'll do that. He finds Mastery. Easy kill into the level 4 Mars. And they force the rotation from Kunkka, so completely responsive. And the only thing he gets to do is watch his teammates die.
Yeah, that's I'm really not sure about this port in from the Kunkka. Like, I think the rotation to begin with is not really the best. Like, by the Bat Rider, I think it doesn't actually accomplish that much killing this level 4 Mars. And yeah, they do get, in the end, they get the extra kill on the Lina and the Kerr, which makes it worth it because the Kunkka also rotated. But I think if you're Kunkka, you're okay with this rotation. You can just stay mid. You can hit creeps. You can push the lane and deal some damage to this tower. And Bat, if he loses his mid tower, he's gonna feel really bad.
Yeah, it's quite the awkward situation because now you have to walk back to lane. You still have this boat to hold on to. Like, this is the point where you should maybe be making a place. Maybe you mirror that and go top, right? Like, I know Slardar's been suffering, but there's possibly 2 easy kills for Kunkka to be found in that top lane.
Yeah, it's a long walk though. He'd have to.
Oh no, I mean if he like TP'd up to set someone up. Or...
Right. Well, he just
feels like
his
he's
port,
just responding.
Right? So...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if he didn't come bot originally, because it just feels like right now the mistake he's made here is instead of actively making his own plays, he's just assuming because he's ahead out of the 2 midders, he should be responding to anything Bat Rider does.
Yeah, sure. No, I think he doesn't really have to respond at all to anything. And I maybe if they start diving really heavily up top on the tower, or if they're bottom and they're diving on the tower, then yeah, you can port in and try to get some counter kills, but this just seems unnecessary. I think he can just play his own game and just be happy that he's farming a lot.
Yeah, it's also the case of, you know, something we hit on last game, the whole win 2 lane should be enough. Like, he's winning mid, top is being won by him. It almost feels like his concern is, oh no, we're starting to lose bot. It is the Gyro IO, that is the win condition. I need to address this right now. Yeah, no, for sure. The idea of needing to do things in general it's never a nice one. There are games like, for example, for the first one, I think that's a game where Empire need to make moves because they are going to eventually fall behind if they don't. But in this game, you don't really have to do anything. You can just kind of play your own game and you're going to be fine. Yeah, you're definitely set up for later on in the game. Like Kunkka, the way he transitions means he always keeps his effectivity, especially with that run buff. Mars, huge with the Phoenix, and then like Troll versus Gyro. I think the panel's glazing over a bit. It's like this is a good matchup for Troll. He should be able to handle the Gyro in the late game.
Yeah, that's where it's like it becomes a little bit interesting because there are a few tools, like both of them. There are some awkward things to engage into for both of them. You know, like the Troll has to fight against amplification from the Slardar. Also, there's a lasso from the Bat Rider. He also has to try to go through the Gyro and the Wisp. At the same time, there's a rum buff for the Shadow the Troll, and you know there's some Phoenix Egg in Mars Arena. So not the easiest job for either one to kind of just go straight through, but I kind of have to favor the team fight of Empire.
So it seems the Empire have their own issues right now with Dictator.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is there a VoIP service called Dictator? That's got to be a mistype.
Maybe Discord problems?
Probably. I mean, it's either that or Stalin has returned from the grave and is yelling at them. But that one's less likely. Yeah, we'll hopefully get underway in just a few minutes. But yeah, as you were highlighting, is that case. Like Empire, they're in this chill state. They definitely have a strong team fight. Whereas Viking, honestly, everything about this draft says I need pickoffs.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to play the map once they get their boots of travel on the Batrider and whatever else items that they're looking for. I'm guessing, yeah, some face drums on Gyro. I think that's fine. He can get some mobility. It's not a bad idea. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised about the Midas on the Slaughter, but we'll see if he actually ends up going for it or if he changes his mind.
Definitely feeling a bit committed, and they're committing on Aramis right now. Inkspell's going to come out. He'll just stay on top of Smaller Knight to make sure he gets stunned up. Burn through from Meknart won't be enough to kill off Aramis, and Toby makes sure of it with the Crush. Like, we'll force the Grimstroke back, and they might actually just turn their attention towards Toby now, because now you're in a situation if you move up the wave, they've got vision, they know that Grimstroke's not here. Boat in the mid lane. Drag back with the X. Does catch on the boom. The torrent follow-up is good, and there should be a kill on the Batrider. That's what Lightless needs to be doing.
Yeah, very nice execution there from the Kunkka. He timed it so that he got the stun from the boat, and while the boat duration, the stun was ending, the torrent hit, and he got like the maximum amount of disable that he could. So well played from Kunkka.
This seems to have helped him out. Yeah, this is of course the kind of weakness that Boom may experience. Like while you have good strength gain, like overall your health isn't a small pool. Because you're going for those boosts of travel, you haven't got any sort of stat padding other than a single null talisman.
Yeah, and they were talking a little bit earlier about how, you know, like using this last pick to something useful. And right now, this is a last pick Batrider that has, you know, he just got solo killed by the enemy's mid hero, and
maybe he would have had
really
some relevance if he used the lasso, but he didn't, and now he's just going to die. As you said, that is the last pick Batrider. I mean, he could have lasted. I guess he saw Lightless was coming. He's like, "What's the point at this stage? I'll just get X'd." But you know,
yeah, I mean, he would die no matter what. And he also saw that the troll had already used Battle Trance, and he was not really gonna die. So there's no point in wasting that ability as well. He's gonna feel very bad now though, because he just ported to a lane, and then he went there and he died again. So he's not gonna have TP ready, and he's very far away from his bots right now. Whereas Kunkka is level 9, going on, well, 9.5 soon. So 2 levels behind the Kunkka now, and 1.5k net worth.
Yeah, it's going to get wiring pretty quickly. It feels like in this situation, the kind of mismeasure Boom's had compared to his gank attempt bot is like, you were rotating as the mid to that lane. Whereas when he came top, that's him accepting a lane switch with Toby so he can go for his more greedy build.
Yeah, and maybe this is kind of the idea that they know that this bet is gonna, you know, he's just gonna be some guy with, I don't know, lasso. He's gonna have some bots and he's gonna buy space, and Slaughter will eventually transition into becoming a bigger core. Like we can see right now, Toby, despite his 2 deaths, he is the highest farmer on the Radiant side, and he's actually ahead. Well, Troll just getting ahead of him, but he's up there in terms of net worth.
Yeah, he should accelerate now that the Midas has been cleared. And I guess like the highlight here really is maybe it was a case of they didn't feel like the Slardar would match up against the Kunkka that well in the mid, maybe, or rather they felt that the Batrider could pressure the Kunkka, and they've always intended to treat this more like the POS 2 POS 3 role switch.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether it's, you know, kind of what happened in the game or if this was the initial idea all along.
Yeah, reactionary versus kind of like assumed. Although I guess it'd be fair to say like there must have been some kind of plan to this extreme, considering Toby had 2 deaths and there was still that prioritization of Midas building.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
We'll never know, because as the panel said, we don't get team comms. And I tell you, that would make our job so much easier. Have you ever watched any other like CSGO or like Call of Duty broadcasts?
I've watched a few here and there.
It's so easy. Well, no, I'm not going to underrate. Like, the stuff they do is good. Just like this ultimate from Mastery, but the stun comes out onto Laguna through with the boat. Boom. Stunned alongside his comrade. 2 dead on the side of Viking. That's both their cores. And now they're looking for the third one. They've X'd up on the Shad. Shad is going to turn around and fight, though. Trying to push them back. Mastery is low. They get the tower, so Mastery should be fine. And looks like Viking have to back away. And you see, this is what I'm talking about right now. See, in that moment, if this was like some different esports scenes, we would have cut my voice out. We could have just sat, sipped some cup of tea, and we would have listened to team comms for 30 seconds.
Yeah, but would you really feel like you were doing a good job then, you know?
No, you're right. I would. I mean, it would be, you know, you'd feel like, oh, this is a pretty chill gig. But you're right. I miss out on the fun of hearing my own voice, being the egocentric maniac that I am.
Yeah, so there you go.
There we go.
Things are the way they are for a reason. So,
cool.
Nice team fight from Empire there. Like you said, good Mars ult, and then on top of that, Lina stun, and on top of that, a boat. They get 2 core kills and a mid tower. So, very nice team fight and good. Well, not so much a trade, but a good move by Empire.
And that's going to ramp up now. That's the other thing. Now that they've seen this Midas on the Slardar, they're going to look to maximize the punishment they can dish out on Viking, as they realized very clearly this team is not ready to fight and won't be for quite some time, as Aramis has to concede in the top lane. Boom gets out though, so it's the only casualty they're going to have. Really, it just feels like Viking's goal right now is to dodge as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's never a fun thing to have to do when you're up against a hero like Kunkka, who has such an easy time, you know, finding these heroes just 1x, and the range is 1,000 range ability, so very difficult to just run away from.
Yeah, and they have good follow-up, right? Like, you can follow through with the Phoenix, Mars is going to be heading towards the Blink Dagger next, and then, of course, Lina eventually gets those cast range talents and becomes infuriating to deal with. Speaking of those X's, well, he only just got back from the grave, and he's back in again. The arena is going to go down, so Toby's trapped inside. Mastery able to sidestep, but the boat through does connect on a gyro, and I was trying to keep him alive. It will be enough. They'll be able to walk away. They have to, in fact, because of that egg gun pop. Eknar zones them out. They'll be able to get this tier 1 tower, which is the real objective that Empire was after.
Yeah, it's very, very, very awkward how the Grimstroke, he kind of just ran in and just walked into the X range and just immediately got caught and died.
No, Aramis is... It's a rough one. He started off his series really well, but it feels like the last 2 games, he hasn't had the greatest of starts.
Yeah, and sometimes a game like last game, like it can get to you, you know, and maybe you're overthinking things by now, and then things like this can happen.
That's an interesting thought as well, because like I've seen teams approach like the problem of losing a game where one of your players gets stomped very differently. It's like, for example, like some teams, they won't give them the same same hero at all. They'll try and give the player like an easy hero that slots in very easily so they don't feel too pressured. Whereas others just try and like double down on whatever they were kind of doing before because they have this kind of redemption arc feeling about them.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the idea of, you know, just like go at it again. I think it shows confidence in your own player. Whereas if you ask your player to switch your hero, it kind of shows, you know, like, can we really trust them? And I feel like that's not really, it's not a very nice approach, I think. If you want
like
to
you
inspire
losing
confidence,
faith, right?
Yeah,
as your own team.
yeah, yep.
I guess there's different elements. Like maybe it's a case of some teams, they ask their players like, would you really want to play us again? And they might just be like, while I want to redeem myself, it feels crappy.
If you don't feel confident yourself, then of course not. But if you feel like, man, I just fucked up, you know, like whatever, like let's go at it again, then sure. Then you go with it.
I find it interesting because I found like some teams have this kind of pattern approach to it. It might just be the individual players, but like usually there's, you know, some teams will be, oh yeah, definitely we'll just like it's part of our strategy. You know, you screwed it up this game. It's fine, you can redeem. While others are like, okay, that didn't look pretty, boy. We're gonna give you something a little bit like easier to execute.
Yeah, and I'm really not a fan of an idea like that. I think that just shows you don't have, you know, trust and faith in your teammates, and I feel like, yeah, that's really not the way to go.
I like that, Parkat. You're like, I can just see you now, right? Let's say someone just inadvertently threw Meepo at you. You're like, well, this went a bit rough, boys, but I'm willing to do 5 more. At the end, you're like, please, never again.
I'll have faith in my players, but I'm not saying I want to play against Meepo 5 games in a row, you know? If there's you gotta respect the cheese.
What if you're the Meepo?
Well, if I'm the Meepo, then we definitely lost.
I appreciate the honest page in that book, right? Yeah. So You never know though. You get some teams where it's like, yo, I know you don't play this carry, but this is meta right now. You got to learn this crap, right?
I mean, sure, I'll learn something new, but Meepo, that's just you know, it's not in my.
It's never that.
It's not
one,
in
right?
my, and never was, and never will be in my repertoire.
Yeah.
And that's
fair, 'cause, like Meepo's. I feel like Meepo's one of those select ones that slides out of the kind of, oh, it's meta, you need to do it right now type hero, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but then you have specialists, right? You know,
Exactly.
that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
So I want to say Broodmother, while it is still kind of a specialist thing, has slid a bit more towards like, you must learn this type thing. But Meepo has always been one of those kind of, you either do it or you don't type things.
Yeah, I also think it depends on which kind of brood we're talking. You know, the
Yes.
the innovative, the 33 brood. That was I can't remember. I think he I remember he told me this. He learned it from some guy in some pub, you know, and then he's just like, then he becomes the brood expert.
Dude, that's
And-
like the best feeling, you know, when you find that, like it's like you found the #1 puck player or something in your pub game, and then he opens your eyes to something you never even thought of. But then you get all the fame and credit for it because you're the pro player.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think that's how most things are discovered. You find something in, like, by playing a lot of games, you realize this is good or this is not good, and then you can kind of incorporate it to your own. You can kind of make it your own and hopefully improve it or just use it.
What I'm hearing is I got my ass handed to me by this thing. It was so good. Aramis right now is having his ass spanked a little by Empire, but he's just tanking the ganks, really. Like, he knows this is going to happen. And that is one of the reasons we sometimes see Grimstroke picked, is he's meant to be the safer option for shoving the risky lane, right?
Yeah, like we can see the score is 2-11, so quite the lead in terms of kills. And, you know, like Viking have not really gotten off to a great start, but they're not too far behind on the gold. Maybe it's, you know, partly thanks to this Midas from Tovi, or maybe they're just kind of playing the map, you know, pretty well. Like we see Gyro, he's very close to the 2 top cores on Empire side. It's kind of the supports where the difference is. Lina and the Phoenix are a bit ahead of the Gyro and the Grimstroke at this point.
Yeah, and I think it's about even in terms of what both sides have when it comes to supports that need gold, right? Like, Lina obviously likes a lot of gold, but so does Io. The other two, however, like Grimstroke, while he won't complain if he gets items, like his spells alone are where his potency have always lied.
Yeah, I think the big one here actually is just the Kunkka versus the Batrider, and this is also the last pick Batrider, and this is why it's a little bit awkward that they last picked this hero, but he's still down almost 3k to the mid hero, and there was not really any help from either side, so...
There's the guy dying who is at the POS 2's net worth position. Like, that free Slardar gets picked off. I mean, he's picked up his blink, but we haven't really seen him use it just yet. And now he's the one being initiated onto still. Urushi's queued up the BKB next. It does kind of... It sticks this question in your mind. How much time can you buy before you have to go in these engagements with Viking? Because like you said, you missed that Batrider. This is a hero that is meant to give you options early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be very difficult for them to fight unless they're finding kind of pickoffs with the Batrider. And this is also why I've been mentioning this boots of travel thing on Batrider, like while it allows him to be kind of mobile and they're splitting the map. It's so awkward because he can't find any kills. You know, he doesn't have a blink, he doesn't have a BKB. So going in and fighting for him is very difficult at this point. And so all they can really do is split the map until they get these, you know, BKB on bats or maybe even blink BKB. BKB on Slardar, BKB Gyro. Before that, they're just gonna struggle.
And it just feels like they're not quick enough to split the map, which is why we're seeing what's happening right now. Empire are going to be the ones to get their hands on the first Aegis of the game, stick it in the happy hands of a smiling knight. And it feels like part of that problem comes from the fact that because Empire have done a good job of keeping the waves always pushed in, we've kind of seen them shuffle around together, right? And it's never felt punished because the map, like the kind of cross sections are so small from one side to the other because these lanes are never pressuring Empire's towers.
Yeah, and I also think that's because of the fact that there is a Kunkka and there are no BKBs or Yules or anything. So if ever the Kunkka just ports into Fog and one of the Viking heroes are kind of hitting the tower, then he's just gonna immediately get caught. And yeah, you can maybe try to relocate in, but you're not really gonna kill this Kunkka fast. He's 2.60 HP with Halberd and Wand and a boat, so
And some
it's very
cheeky
difficult
guys.
for them to, very difficult to initiate on this guy, and also very scary for them to push against him.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, you're in this situation. I feel like if Troll and Kunkka are together, you just can't breach his Viking. Like, those two alone sustain for so long at this stage that reinforcements will arrive in time. And here comes the Ajax on the Boom. They do latch the two together. Lassier's going to come out, so dragging him away. But Boom is so slow here. He can't escape himself. BKB and the Battle Trance with the root coming out in the Laguna. Boom is going to die. And you just give him keys to multiple buildings here. They could easily look to just siege in. Probably tier 2 and then look to get control of the other waves because Viking have been shoving in top. Shad's been farming in the dire jungle. But look at this. Mastery's going. He's got the blink as well. He'll catch him. They could get the reload play out. And there it is. Celery's charging. Oh, nice spear away, though. They tried to actually save the day. Shad instead will just have to BKB and TP out, which means Celery is left behind, high and dry.
Yeah, very nice play there by Mastery, recognizing that he's going to use the relocate, and he kind of spears him away. He forces the gyro to BKB TP, and they still get the kill on the Wisp.
Definitely a cheeky little one. And, like, you know that kill is unlikely to happen on the gyro, right? Like, you can see he's got the BKB. But it's just the fact that now you're burning these early BKB charges that should be so valuable. Like, it has to be against the line of Empires on basically nothing.
Yeah, and you also see the Troll, he's queuing up this Basher, so in the future this won't really be possible, and it is going to be very, very difficult for this gyro to start man fighting this Troll with all of the backup that he has, and also the fact that there's going to be a Basher, and just how tanky the other heroes are on the side of Empire.
It feels like Viking desperately lack the most crucial element that they need, which is burst, right? Because, you know, usually you think of these IO combos, it's all about, oh, you can never kill my guy and we'll just like win an attrition battle. You're playing against Kunkka Bo as well as the heal ray from Eknar on this Phoenix. Like, you're not going to win a prolonged engagement, right?
And I feel like if you just reverse this mid matchup straight up, like if there was just a Kunkka on the side of Viking and this Bad Rider was...
Mars gone. They find a good pick. He didn't actually get the arena out, so the egg is going to be wasted. I think you were saying switch him around, but right now they'll be happy that they had the Bat Rider there, as it did get the crucial kill and should repel Empire away from their base.
Yeah, it's just that you don't. This is not really what you want to see from your last pick, right? He's down 4k, and he's also down 3-4 levels. I mean, you switch these two guys around, and all of a sudden Viking are the ones with the advantage. So I'm curious as to how they think that this mid matchup should be going, or what is expected to happen from it. Because I would assume that this is not what they were, had in mind when they picked this hero.
No, it's also, I guess, the way of looking at it, like when you portray these two, a Bat Rider down on net worth versus a Kunkka down on net worth. Like, I feel like a Kunkka can still do a lot more, right? Because the way his toolkit works doesn't require that he is in deep in the middle of the mess, whereas Boom every time has to somehow find his way to the backline, find the primary target, and drag them out towards his team. Whereas Lightless holds them in place and waits for reinforcements to arrive. Like this one. So Aramis is finding out the hard way. He's like, I felt this before, I'm going to feel it again. Torren is off the mark, so he's wasting a little bit of time. He should be going down. Toby's going to hide the tree line so he won't be found.
Dire are scanning.
Yeah, difficult scenario to be in right now for Viking. They can just keep splitting the map. They're just waiting for the Slaughter to get his BKB. And the Bat Rider now has his BKB, so probably once this Aegis expires, they're gonna start looking for some ways to pick off some heroes.
Yeah, you're not quite a do or die, but you can kind of feel it reaching that point. If you can't make these big plays happen off the back of double BKB, like what will be the item pickup that will allow you to do anything?
Yeah, and I feel like it's really hard to find that item. Like, I can't say that there's one item that will actually just let them do whatever they want at this point. I think they kind of need to try to bait Empire into awkward engagements and capitalize on that.
Instead, Empire are the ones doing it to them. Celery separates, looking for the reload, relink up, and they can't interrupt him in time. So they do make it out. The ping came out on the Boom, but no Cigar, they can't get close enough. So nice dodge out by Viking. Not forced to use the BKBs.
Yeah, very nice relocate there by the IO. Just very good timing. He's gonna sacrifice his life, but
Life of an IO.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Like, you gotta time that perfect TP back. Can you still do that?
I don't actually know. I'm not sure if that's possible.
I haven't seen it in so long. I don't think they ever fixed it because it was technically to do I think it's to do server timing versus client timing. So basically, you had to lag for it to work. There you go.
That's
you know,
interesting.
the one situation where lag is good. It's like most of the time when people like have lag and an excuse is why they screwed up a play. But I was like,
Right.
yeah, I done it with lag, bro.
I can't do this. No lag.
See, it still works as an excuse. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so Empire, they have their Basher on Troll now, the SNY. I don't believe that they're just gonna like straight up go high ground. I think that they're just gonna kind of keep Viking in their base and then just wait for the next Roche, get the Aegis onto the Troll, get the cheese. Kunkka will have AC by then, and they're gonna have a lot of levels on all their heroes. And then just kind of try to either keep choking Viking until they have a big enough advantage, or kind of just go high ground with the Aegis.
Yeah, it almost feels like Empire are leaving this bot lane, this current state, to try and give Viking rope to hang themselves, right? Like, they're kind of starving out the top and middle area of the map, which is easy to patrol together. And then if Viking come out too far elsewhere, then either you go there or make a move mid like this, where Toby is forced to use the BKB just to run away.
Yeah, and you just got that BKB on the Slardar, and he has to choose it just to run away. It's not
Well, that's 2 out of 2 BKBs used this way so far. Let's see if Boom can do something more with his. I should damn well hope so. Otherwise, that's 3 cores that have built BKBs simply to run away.
Hey man, BKB, passive item, or defensive item.
Good stats,
you know?
good stats.
Yeah, good stats, good stats.
No, in fairness, it's our mindset. It's wrong, right? Technically, Boom should be running away after he lassos someone. So BKB run away works.
Yes, genius.
This is the moment where he uses his BKB to just charge forward, and the other 2 keep using them to run away, right? And
Or just use it, just to watch the glorious big bad rider.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone likes to be bigger. Toby, pretty big and small as he goes on top of Mars. They bring him down. Egg on the high ground. They can't really get across to it, or can they? They're trying to, but the stun comes out. The LSA is on point. Buys enough time that the egg goes off, and it's a catastrophe for the side of Viking. Celery trying to move away, will not be able to do so. Toby activates the BKB, looking to fight. James is going to be ran down by this Slardar. Poke through to give him more buffed up help. And Toby, that BKB's run out soon, my friend. You need to run for the high hills. Is looking for like a victory for Empire, not Empire, for Viking at the moment, rather. And it looks like Viking are able to juke and jive around Lightless and turn around. And this looks so good to begin with Empire getting the egg off. The LSA follow-up, but in the end, they're just caught holding their balls and running for the high hills. And I walk in, Boom says, Smiling Knight, you want any help with those? They'll jump in, Toby, stun on the 2, the buyback gets forced out, the Phoenix, they're under tower now, they need to be a little bit careful, but Troll Warlord is going to be brought down. Dead for 65 seconds, Empire run out of heroes to throw out this. Lightless is also going to fall. That gives them the keys to the tier 1 tower, probably a tier 2 as well, and they might even find the dieback on Eknar, who gets caught in the tree line and brought down, dead for 75 seconds, so this is going to be multiple buildings falling in favor of Viking.
Yeah, wow, what a turnaround. That was crazy actually. It looked so terrible for them initially with the egg on the high ground and the Lina stunning 3 heroes, pretty much all the spells just landing, and then through some well played just some nice moves by Toby, he managed to blink away from the X torrent combo like right before the torrent landed, and then he kept pursuing, and also I think there was a buyback if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
Yes, they committed the buyback on the IO.
Yeah, the IO, right. And just a overall well-played fight by Viking. Like what looked like a terrible fight turned into something very nice for them.
I mean, we were toying about the early Bs a little bit, but the BKBs in those fights, like do or die, it completely changes the landscape of this game. And now you're going to feel Empire, they really need to calm down. They need to rethink and come up with a more viable strategy, because dangling Mastery is definitely not the way to go. He's not a tanky boy at all.
No, he has the craggy coat and, from a certain angle, but when you have the Slardar and you can kind of attack him from whatever side, then he can go down very, very quickly, as we saw just now.
Well, another fight's about to go down. Torrent out. Stun follow-up is good. They're going to drag him back and forth. If he gets the chance, Toby's dead. Lassie's going to come out. They drag across, separate the fight even more. Phoenix is going to be the return kill. Now you don't have your lasso for bigger targets. Shad is going to try and back away. Mastery does have the arena, but the burns and the balls are stopping him from blinking forward. Try for it now. They could easily reload out if you don't stun up the eye. On the other side, though, Aramis is keeping James out of the fight and busy. And it looks like Viking are getting ready to turn around. Empire will also follow suit by turning around and go back in, but no mastery off the mark with the spin. He didn't commit the arena. All of a sudden, things might go bad. BKB comes out for Smiling Knight, but the right clicks from Shadow a little bit too strong. Battle Trance, now he turns his attention on Io. Gets dragged across, though, separately doing the bigger target, which he didn't want, which was Gyro, but Gyro is being brought down. The bash looked good, but the heals up from Io are enough to bring down the Troll. They'll turn around, chase for more. Lightless has no escape either. And Viking, what's happened to Empire? The last 2 fights have not only been a win for Viking, they've been pretty goddamn definitive.
Yeah, some very impressive fighting here coming out of Viking. Just also even that just getting the troll to turn around there, and Gyro, I'm not sure exactly what that mechanic was, but
I think he got glimmer. He had just enough mana to glimmer himself,
yeah.
which meant panic moment for troll. Nobody else near me has detection. I'm screwed.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like 2, 3, 4 minutes ago, I felt like this game was, just about done. Like, it felt like Empire just needed to wait a few moments for this next Roche and then just go and kind of siege and finish the game. And now it looks like Viking are very much so in control.
No, we definitely thought the coffin was almost sealed, the nails were going in, but it's just like someone out of a Kill Bill movie. More or less, we've dug our way out of our own grave, and Viking now are the ones who are definitely, I don't want to say favored at this stage. I mean, actually, just look at the win probability. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Yeah, it's around 50-50. Psych, we just updated. 68% in favor of Radiant. And it might seem like a drastic change, but the way they've taken these last 2 fights so convincingly and now have an Aegis in their hands, I support this change in probability.
Yeah, I mean, it went from, I think it was a 6k gold lead in favor of Empire to now an 8k gold lead in favor of Viking over the course of, 3-4 minutes?
It's pretty hectic to think how quickly this game has changed, and the volatility factor on both sides as well, right? Like, we talk so much about this troll. We bigged him up. We basically said, you know what, Smiling Knight, you turn this around. We think you're amazing, best carry in game. And then it's like we totally forgot this is Gyro IO, and when it seems unimpeded, which compared to last game is a lot less threatened by the POS on the other side, this is exactly what can occur.
Yeah, some people might even say that this gyrocopter is a real Chad.
I mean, he is looking pretty swole. I also just love that Toby, there was probably a temptation, right? After he got his BKB, maybe I go like an AC, maybe I become a frontliner as well. But he's fully appreciating the fact that it is the Gyro shot. We fully support the Gyro. So I'll buy Solar Crest, I'll have the Orb of Destruction, I'll give you all the minus armor you need, and that crazy little whatever the hell gnome dude he is in his contraption will murder everyone on the side of Empire.
Yeah, I mean, he's committing to the minus armor pretty heavily here with the minus armor talent and the Orb of Destruction and the Solar Crests. That's, that's minus 36 armor.
You're going to feel the pain. You know what it is? It's that, I mean, we had that comment about Simpsons on the panel, and it's fitting, because what this is right now is this is the stop hitting him, he's dead thing, right, with Ralph.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Empire right now, I feel like you're going, oh.
You definitely dropped the ball at some point here. But credit where credit's due to Viking, because they picked it up immediately. And Smiling Knight, BKB's just to run away. But boom. Oh, he's a hunt. He's got the spider legs. 4-star forward, lasso. You'll see interrupt, but all they need to do is hold you still so that Shad can run you through with that DD. And hello. We weren't sure if we'd end up in this base, says Viking, but now that we're here, we might look to stay. They chase it on in. They force the double buyback out. They move away. Mastery throws down the arena. The boat coming through, though. Collides with their faces. Does stun them up on the spot. I was going to be brought down. The egg is about to actually explode in the face of Shad and make sure that he can't move away. But that's only 1 life down. You need to follow this up. You need to be good with it. What have you got really to work with, though? Because Boom is just burning through Mastery. Going to bring him down with the Inkswell stun to make sure of it. Like that's to use the BKB, and Shad hunting under the tier 4s. Goes for the kill, and James able to find it. Now needs to move away. The root and the bash is going to come out. Smiling Knight trying to chase forward. Trying to stay on top, but Shad, this man has a vehicle and all you have is legs. He moves a lot quicker than you do. The turnaround might be there. Toby gets X'd up and dragged back in the torrent, though. He needs to actually throw out some stuns to look to move away. With a glyph to support the damage output will force them away. Boom is separated from the fight and from his team. Just trying for that kill on Smiling Knight. He'll be able to find it. You want to see Bat Rider perform? Well, healer he is. Oh, it's going to be X coming out. Linus drags him back. We'll look to finish him off, but boom! He's still alive! How are you living? I don't know, but Empire on. What a ton of events. Not 1, not 2, but 3 fights in a row. Viking each time more convincingly forces the win and takes the series 2-1 as Empire tap out.
That was a very manly move there by the gyrocopter, and that was was. I mean, it looked for a second there that like that was gonna be some disaster, just going way too far with it. But they managed to come out on top of that fight.